Hello and welcome to another edition of Contact with the Beyond, Paratalk. Today with my dear friend Hassan Ballout. Hassan, nice to have you here.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Today we have the topic Saint Germain and his teachings. Hassan, can you tell our audience a little bit who is Saint Germain?
Yes. Saint Germain is one of those ascended beings of light who is part of the great white brotherhood and sisterhood of light. His one of his dwelling places is in Shambhala, the city of gods. A lot of people know about this, and he also exists in other places across the earth according to the need that is a need to be provided. He's been living in the same physical body without going through the change called death for over 8,000 years. And he left behind some incredible information and material that could really evolve us to a higher level. And so Saint Germain also he created the violet flame of transmutation, and it is used to purify and to cleanse. And it's one of those energies that I have experienced the first time I meditated. I remember in Washington State years back, and it was one of my first experience. And I got initiated when I saw the violet flame in the dark. My eyes were closed, and then I didn't know what I was seeing. I opened my eyes and I see a flood of violet coming to me. So that was a really amazing experience. So there's a lot of information about Saint Germain out online and in various books. Um, the most important is, his life is important for sure, but he's known to be the man with 1,000 face and 1,000 name, with many different
Why?
incarnations. He speaks every language on earth, and he's known throughout the world by many people, and he was part of establishing many organizations, the I Am movement, and the names are available online. But he's instrumental in bringing in the new age of Aquarius. He's instrumental in caring for the planet and the civilization and the human race. So he works with a lot of people. I'm not special because I know about him, but I spent 12 years studying him and meditating upon him and meditating upon the violet flame. So anybody who gets into this vibe, they can draw in his energy and his wisdom and his teachings. Yeah. So everybody's special
Let me,
when it comes to Saint Germain.
let me ask a question. How did you get to know of him? Because
Good
he is
question.
not so a superstar that everyone heard this name before. It is really a name what I heard sometimes many years ago, but he is not really well known. But his teachings, they are amazing. Where did you get to know of him, Hassan?
Well, that was in Seattle, Washington, um, about 14 years ago, give or take. I joined a mystery school in Washington State called the Aquarian Foundation, located on Queen Anne. And I was part of that school for about 6, 7 years, I would say. And I got to know Saint Germain through that organization. And he had brought through amazing lessons through the instrumentality of the most scientific tested medium on the planet, whose name is Keith Milton Reinhardt. His name is registered, by the way. So I got to hear the lectures that they were recorded on tapes. That organization started in 1955, and Saint Germain left a body of information that is so valuable to the human race. Amazing information, and what's nice about it, it's straight to the point. You don't get lost either in the language or the structure. It's just very basic and simple to assimilate by anybody who's walking the path, so that you can create some light. Because as you know, on this path, it could get a little bit confusing if you don't have a teacher or a guru. However, these lessons are precise and to the point. So I got to know Saint Germain from the lessons that I've heard over and over and over again. I studied them. I know his.
Do you still remember his first lesson, what you heard from him or about him?
Do I remember the first lesson?
Yes.
Yes, actually, there's this incredible lesson by him. It's called A Fantastic Message by Saint Germain. And that's probably one of the first lessons I've heard over there. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I remember this very well, and that's why I have it here with me. And these are very powerful affirmations and decrees from Saint Germain that we wrote and we use. And so I got to know Saint Germain over in Washington State. I have not seen him personally because that's not important. What's important is the messages. However, during my time with the Aquarian Foundation, and I got to meet a trans-physical phenomena medium called Reverend Michael Shane, an incredible, amazing, loving, knowledgeable guy, and I've been working with him and helping him out for the last 11 years. And I remember while in Washington State doing this work, I decided with my brother to move to Hawaii. And so we were in the process of buying a restaurant in Kihei called Kihei Cafe, #1 breakfast place in Maui. And so as we are working on the deal, I had an entity that came to me in my dream telling me, do not buy Kihei Cafe. He told me this 3 times and he disappeared. Well, sure enough, new age students were rebels. We decided to buy Kihei Cafe. And during that process, we lost over $50,000-$60,000 and 3 months of pain and suffering. At the same, I ended up coming back to Seattle, Washington, and I had an issue with my neighbor. I had bought this house right on the water, and my neighbor, for some reason, he did not like me. But I remained kind and nice to him. He's an older man, and I remember I had a dream, that month, that my neighbor is talking to me, the one who does not like me, and all of a sudden his face turned like Saint Germain, and he looked at me in my dream with the most loving, kind eyes you can ever imagine. So he kind of created peace between me and this neighbor. Also, when I was in Maui, I had a friend who was going through a divorce and lost her child. So Michael directed her to me to come and visit and seek a little refuge. And I had a little extra bedroom there on Maui. My brother Salam was out of town. So wonderful lady. And I had a dream that night, and it wasn't actually a dream. As I went to sleep, Saint Germain came through and was talking to me. And actually, I can hear the voice, I can hear the words. My understanding was at that time that masters communicate through concepts, but Saint Germain communicated through words. And he gave me a small little talk about how important it is to activate my Kundalini, because I was celibate at that time and very busy. And he gave me a few instructions about what to do, which I will never forget. And I know in my heart it was real. And so from there, I start to study the archives of the masters that me and my brother Salam had acquired. Go ahead.
Let me cut in here a little bit. You were speaking about dreams. Do you consider dreams to be true realities, only in a different realm?
Dreams, according to the archives of the masters and according to my understanding and my experience as well, that they are real and they are happening on what we call the astral planes of existence. And they are something telling you about the past or the future. And so when we're sleeping, we're not actually, sleeping. There's part of us that is awake. And to use time wisely as well. Sometimes we are taken, when you study with the masters, you are taken to the study halls on the astral planes and you participate in classes and instructions by the masters. I remember one of those dreams. I was shown sacred objects, and I was being taught how to do locomotion, which is flying using your body.
Let me ask here a little bit about Shambhala. Shambhala, is it a school? Is it a country? Is it what is it, Shambhala? Many people, they speak about Shambhala. They say it is in Asia. Other people, they say, no, it is not on this world. Can you clarify this question? What is it in real? Is it a place in the astral realm, or where it is located?
Well, it is a physical place that is located in the Himalayas. It's an actual place, a physical place where the masters live and dwell and have their being, such as Saint Germain, Lord Buddha, and many others. It is protected, so if you fly above it, you cannot see it. If you try to enter Shambhala, you cannot enter Shambhala unless you are invited. And the masters choose that location because it is remote. And also there's many Shambhalas across the world where the masters dwell. And a lot of them are mountains like Mount Fiji, Mount Shasta, there's Mount Rainier. They're no longer in Mount Rainier because they knew about the volcano, so they left. But Shambhala does exist, and there's a beautiful series of books called Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East that talk about Shambhala. I highly recommend anybody who is interested in the occult or the masters to acquire these books and study them. They are absolutely amazing and life-changing, and they are actually recommended by the Ascended Masters to be studied and looked at.
So the Ascended Master, or especially Saint Germain we talk about today, he gives us instructions to change our lives in a positive way. Can you tell us a little bit of this kind of instructions he gives? What is the basic idea about it?
Yes. So basically, it's all about educating the self. It's all about studying and learning and researching and reading the right information. So by doing so, and of course, you must accompany that with meditation. You must accompany that with affirmation, or what you call ceremonial magic. So once you set these three in order, the intent, wanting to learn, all of a sudden you are put under the microscope by these divine beings, and they start to work with you. Why? Because you knew you are interested in getting into the business of knowing who you are and knowing God. And so they start to work with you, and they give you a series of instructions.
Here maybe we should maybe explain that in every human being, in all that exists, is the spark of God. So we are a part of God, or God is a part of us. So God created all what exists. And because there's a part of us in him or upside down, we can create reality as well. But we don't know that we are able to create. And Saint Germain gives us the tools in our hand to be creators of reality. Correct?
100%. 100%. The reality is something important you just mentioned. One of the affirmations used by the masters that we're told to use is, God, lead me out of the unreal into the unreal. So anything you live in a situation where there's change, it's not rooted in reality, you know. So once you understand that concept, you realize that we live in a world of change, right? Everything changes. Your job, your situation, your life, you know. So once you know you live in a world of change, you start to focus more on that which changes not, because what is permanent. And why do we do this? There is a reason, because we don't want to get caught up in the wheel of rebirth and reincarnation and get ourselves into unnecessary rebirths where we don't remember who we are, we don't remember where we come from, we don't remember anything. We technically have amnesia. You're in a dream state again, and you never know where you're going to end up, what planet or what family or what civilization. So the way it's described as, if you are traveling, let's say one is about to cross to the other side. Well, they give a really nice example I'd like to share, that if you want to travel somewhere, wouldn't you want to know where you're going to end up going, the location, the country, and make preparation for that trip and what you're going to be dealing with? The same thing goes to us. As we are here, we must prepare, because life is a blink in eternity. We must prepare to what is the next step and what is on the other side. So when we get there, we know what's happening. So the more we educate ourselves, the more we learn, the more we study these amazing teachings, uh, we end up taking this information with us in our consciousness, and we have an understanding of what to see and what to expect. We have an amazing lecture by Master Odisa about the newly arrived souls in the astral plane. Okay, because there's places when people cross to the other side, they are helped and they are greeted always by a master teacher or an angel or a guide, and of course sometimes loved ones come through. And so a
Let
lot of
me
times,
cut in here and ask you, the astral realm. Some people say from the astral realm comes never something what is good, because our thoughts materialize there, the good ones and the bad ones. Is this the place where we all go to after, let us say, we leave our body, maybe during the sleeping time or forever? Is our dwelling in the astral realm, and is this the place where the ascended masters are waiting for us?
you're talking about the spirit world.
Yes.
So the spirit world is as real as the physical, but it is more permanent. So, and the astral planes, it's which with the spirit world, we do have some information about this lesson. I mean, what I tell you, it doesn't give it justice, but it's a place for learning. It's a place where they have schools where you can practice sports. There's a place actually called the Blue Island, and there's a little booklet that was written and left behind on our planet called the Blue Island, and it's an amazing read. And it was communicated by a man who passed on the ship, the Titanic. And when he got to the spirit world, he wanted to let his wife that he's alive really bad. He really wanted to communicate that there's no death. Death is an illusion. And so he ended up figuring a way out to communicate with his wife, if I'm not mistaken, and she was able to channel this book called The Blue Island. And so you must be prepared when you go to the spirit world. If you're not prepared when you get to the spirit world and you know what's going on, people are going to get confused and they're going to have a hard time adjusting to that reality. So what's going to end up happening is they start to forget, start to fall asleep, and then they enter the human reincarnation all over again, and they go through, the same thing, unnecessary incarnation, because they're not prepared for that world and they haven't studied about that world. I mean, some people, when they transition and their master teacher come to them, sometimes they think it's the devil. Yeah. Master Kutumi talked about his work in the spirit world, where he goes to a place in the spirit world. It's like a park like lit, and there's people there sitting, very polite. um, they're wearing suits, I mean, all etheric here. We're discussing etheric, yeah, all in terms of light and energy in the spirit world. So Master Kutumi will come and tell them, you must come with us and hear our lectures, if you like, yeah. Don't sit here and be stagnant. And then one of them will get up and say to Master Kutumi, Lasing, we don't need you here. we're doing okay, and they escort him out the door. And these entities, they sit there stagnant, they start to forget again and fall asleep, and then they enter the human womb again, and they continue the wheel of rebirth, which is sometimes the wheel of suffering, unless you decide to come back for a mission, for a purpose, yeah, not to fulfill certain obligations, because the attachments to the material brings us back into the physical world. So when you get to the spirit world, one of the main things Master Odisa tells the newly arrived souls, not to look back at your kids or your businesses or your money or your wealth. It doesn't matter who you were on earth. He says we are all humbled here. We're all the same. You know, come with us into greater learning and greater understanding of the mysteries of life. The life on earth, don't look back, because it's not going to help you. So some of them go with the masters and into other learning and growth, and then others, they're not ready. Remember, there's free will, and these people have free will. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yes. I was only thinking, meanwhile, you were explaining, basically, on the other side, where we go to after we left our body forever, we create our environment through thoughts, experiences in life we had here on earth.
Yes.
And basically, when I work with the teachings of Saint Germain, basically what he is telling us is, well, it is easier on the other side to create environment, but you
Yes.
can do it here as well through affirmations. And those
Yes.
affirmations, they start with I, what means God, and am, what means in action. Can you go into this a little bit further and explain our audience what is meant by this with my explanation?
Yes. So Saint Germain introduced a new concept to the ascended masters, which called ceremonial magic. And of course, when it's introduced to the masters, it's introduced to us also in the outer world. They are in the inner planes, we are in the outer planes. So the concept of ceremonial magic was introduced by the Count Saint Germain to the masters, and the masters daily in Shambhala gather and hold ceremony to activate the energies and send out love, light, and healing to the planets. We are
The
urged.
energy, where comes from this kind of energy? Does it come from God, from the source?
Yes, well, everything is connected to source, yes. However, we have our own energies as well and our own heart. So anytime you sit, knowing what you're doing, of course, and it's not that complicated, but with the intent of sending light, love to an individual or a nation or a civilization or to the planet as a whole, it's about the intent. Intent is a big word. So it's all about intent. Anytime you sit to activate light or do healing, the intent must always be of the light. You're doing it to heal. You're not doing it to get anything in return. Yeah. But I'm not talking you don't get paid for it, because there's healers that they need to get paid because they're getting paid for time that they will never get back, and it's a fair exchange of energy. But that's a different subject. But usually the masters are ascended beings of light. They sit in Shambhala under this mandala right here, and they do ceremony daily, and they activate and they send the light and love and healing to us. Now, we are urged here in the outer plane to do the same. So anytime you sit in ceremony and you activate, the I am principles, these thought forms come out and they meet in the astral planes, and they must materialize somewhere in the physical. You see, masters are doing daily affirmations and ceremony in Shambhala. We're doing it here. The thought forms come together and they have to materialize somewhere. Thoughts are things. They must
Questions,
materialize somewhere.
that I understand the concept very well.
Hmm.
All thoughts from us or people from the other side, spirits, first, before it can materialize on earth, has to materialize in the astral realm, and then we will see it with the time or directly reflected in our world. Is this correct?
Yes. Yes, exactly. So they float around in the astral. Sometimes they do reach their destination, but sometimes they do float around in the astral and they meet with other thought forms and they materialize on the planet, right? So thoughts are things. You have to remember
This
that.
means, this means good thoughts, they are things in the astral realm as well, good thoughts, and they will be reflected personally for you person here on earth in general, as well for a country.
Yes. Yes, so it's important right now at this time, for example, the situation in Ukraine. It's very important to, anytime you have a chance to sit there and affirm and decree peace, even for 5 minutes a day. It's about intent. You lay on your back before you go to sleep, affirm and decree peace in Ukraine. And I'll tell you an interesting information about negative thought forms. When there's thunder, they're actually burning away the negative thought forms that they exist on the astral planes. And that's how nature serves us sometimes. Yeah, there's perfect order in nature. So a lot of thunder
I
usually is burning away these thought forms away, negative thought forms.
here I would like to mention a personal observation. Earthbound spirits, they feel very much negative ones, very much attracted to areas with where are bad weather situation, storm, rain, and. I don't know why, but I can see here in my environment where I live, every time when we have monsoon, so rain time,
Mm.
that many negative spirits, they come together here, and they try to generate as well negative energies in the people. What
Mm.
they take out like a vampire, and they love this kind of negative energy. And I was
Mm.
wondering, after this kind of bad weather situation in our real world, suddenly you have the impression or the feeling it is cleaned. The whole environment is cleaned. Can you tell us a little bit about this cleaning process?
Well, my understanding about water, anytime water is a conductor, yeah? That's why mediums, physical mediums, they put water under their chair because it's a conductor, yeah? And so persons, usually the negative ones, are attracted to places where they can feed off of this energy. So people that they're angry, upset, sad, and depressed, they tend to create an opening in their aura to attract such entities. And this is a very serious issue because probably 95% of the people on the planet have some sort of an attachment of a negative entity without them knowing it. There's a lot of couples that fight, men and women, that they don't even know that they are obsessed or possessed by a negative entity. So that's very
This is
important. So
very
before
often like that. When they die and they pass away, they see, wait a minute, there was someone attached to me. He put me these thoughts against you in my mind.
Mm,
Very often, when you go to a place where negative energy, it is full of negative beings, and sometimes they are attached to you, and suddenly, when you start to think bad, you create an environment that they stay with you, and even so, you don't see it in this moment of time. The negative thoughts, they will naturalize in the future in your life, and your life goes more and more down. That's the reason why from my point of view, I am not sure if you can confirm this. Prayers in general a positive energy. Even more, if we don't ask for something, better we say affirmative, it is like that. And we start with I am.
Yes.
Would you confirm this?
Yes. Well, in reality, nothing can harm you unless you allow it. So anytime you're in tune and attuned to the principles of truth, beauty, justice, and goodness, no harm will befall you. No harm will come to you. Also, we should never leave the house without saying a prayer of protection. I command the golden armor of silver light to surround me and protect me now. You say that 3 times or 7 times. I command the white fire and the violet flame to surround me and protect me and harmonize me now. And you leave your house with that intent. We're exposed to energies and thought forms wherever we go. Each person has an energy field around him due to the thought forms he thinks, right? So that's why they tell you be aware of your thoughts, because you don't want to create a negative energy around you and for others. And so that's why these teachings are great, because they really educate you about how and what to do in life to simply be happy. If nothing means nothing to you, it's about happiness. It's about understanding where we come from, why are we here, how do we deal with situations. Yeah, it's really it's really important to study the masters and their principles, and also arrive to a conclusion on your own that these teachings are good and they make sense to you and rational sense to you on every level.
Mhm. And how did your life change by applying this kind of teachings? Where nowadays, without this knowledge, your life different?
Well, I grew up in a war zone when I was 6 years old, and I've experienced, like many people, everything that considered to be bad in the book. Yeah. But the teachings, very simply, made me calm down a lot, made me deal with people in a more loving way, in a more understandable way. You realize that every negative thought, word, is a betrayal to the God within you. You understand that principle, and then you start to work to create positive thoughts, because every time you think of a negative thought, you're declaring war on the truth that runs through your being now. So once you realize that my thought forms are important, once you realize my words are powerful, they are living spirit, they are important, then you start to live your life in a positive way, and you will see result. You will see result in being harmonious with the people around you, being patient, being loving, and sometimes it's difficult to be around family that they are narcissistic or they're technically crazy. So you demonstrate love and you serve them with all of your mind, body, heart, and soul, and you see what's going to happen. If that didn't work out and that's affecting your growth and your energy, then you really have to be practical about divine wisdom, right? And so,
Um,
mhm, go ahead.
Go on, I interrupt you. I
No, it's
interrupted you.
fine.
Go ahead.
So studying Saint Germain in particular, and the ceremonial magic was absolutely amazing. And when I talk about Saint Germain, I don't talk about theories and just his books. It's about the experience, the actual experience that we've had. I will give you a quick example about Saint Germain and the affirmations. We were in the process of starting a temple in Hawaii, and me and my brother Salam, we were involved in this very heavily. And there was a third person who's involved with us to start this temple. His name was Dan, wonderful person. And we wanted him to call us because he was involved, but he's a pilot and we don't want to bother him. Yeah, he's busy. So me and my brother sat down in Kihei in Maui, and we did a ceremony for Dan to call us. 5 minutes later, he called us, you know. And so it really, it's called ceremonial magic, and it is magic, and everybody can do it. This is the secret, you know. We're not special. Everybody can do it.
I'm convinced when we go to a physical medium, what we nowadays not really want to connect to the word magic, but when we go back in time and in the stories for children where we have magic, is there was a time on this planet magic was really existing, that things got materialized from the astral realm, ports and something like this. But we don't believe in it anymore. But it still exists.
True.
Many times. People like Michael Shane, like Julie Adriani.
Kai Moge.
They do. But Kai Möge ganz genau, the German one. What they do is magic. And it exists.
Yes.
If you believe in it or not. But because we are running out of time, slowly but for sure, I have a question. You were in Switzerland with Michael Shane.
Yes.
And you had an extraordinary experience. Would you like to tell our audience about it?
Yes, I've been working with Michael for 11, 12 years, and I've always wanted to have an encounter with Saint Germain and so many others, of course. But anyway, we were at the castle in Switzerland, and Michael told us that he's inviting us out for dinner to go to the Badhorn. It's a 4-star hotel resort in Switzerland. Beautiful place right on the river. And so we went that evening with few friends who are very familiar with the masters, and they're doing the work. And as I walked in, I felt in my heart that, this place is so fancy. There must be a master teacher here, yeah? Just the thought came to me very quickly. I didn't think much of it. I sat down. We sat on the table, and Mr. Michael Shane looked at me and goes, "Look, there's Saint Germain sitting there." And I looked at the table, and there was actually a man sitting there. And I looked back at Michael and said, "How sure are you?" He goes, 100%. So, to me, I have a policy like Reagan used to say, the president of the United States: trust but verify. Yeah. Now the love and the trust is there, but I like to have my own examination of what I'm experiencing. So when I share it with others, it's based on my truth, not somebody else's truth. Yeah. And so I looked at the table, and he turned around and looked at me, and his eyes gave it away. He was a man. Remember, he was a man in his 90s, the way he appeared. But the eyes looked so strong. It didn't look like it was coming from a body who's been living for 90 years. And of course, it's the vibration. And so there is a reason why master teachers appear to tailors or students or friends. There's reasons. I think one of the reasons that was important, that we needed to work together. There was few people there that they're instrumental and very talented, and some of them a little bit in and out. So his appearance was to ensure us that we must be together and work together for the greater good. And Saint Germain have 13 physical bodies that he can use at any time, and they are in what we call the body bank. There's body banks in Shambhala.
Let me cut in here and explain something. Saint Germain, the last time that he appeared on Earth and was living in his reincarnated body was around 1700, end of the 1700, right? But the Ascended Master, they reappear in a physical body every 7 years, so far I remember.
True.
And it is not that they are born in the normal reincarnation process. It is basically that they create a physical body who they want to use.
True.
Is correct?
I missed the last part.
They create a physical body that they use energy, that
Yes.
the body is a physical body, that they can appear here on Earth. Is this
Yes.
correct?
Well, you have to remember one thing. When a consciousness is ready to ascend, or some of the lady masters or the masters, when they ascend, they before the ascension they have a choice. They can either ascend physically and remain in a permanent body forever and ever in an ascended state of consciousness, or they can ascend spiritually. It's simply they have to make that decision, and they say it's neither good or bad, it just is. So based on that principle, we know that there's masters live in the world of spirit, and there's masters they live in the world of the physical. And these masters can create a body at will. Okay, they can materialize and use a body at will. They can actually borrow a body also from the body banks in Shambhala. And there's always a purpose when they do this. I've heard few stories about the masters coming to one of the centers in Honolulu, and he couldn't stay in our environment for a long time because of his body will get exposed to the radiations and electricity and the pollution. So he didn't stay long in Hawaii. He had to get back into Shambhala. And we usually go back to Shambhala. They cleanse and purify. There's like oil bath where they can sit there and recharge. So the masters are evolved, ascended beings. They have access and they could do many things. Yeah. And from that understanding, you realize when Saint Germain appeared to us, he used one of the 13 bodies that he had in many lifetimes. That he took his body with him. He didn't go through the change called death as we know it. He Because there's no death, right? Death is the illusion. There's just a transition, basically, yeah, the so-called death. So he took that body with him, and then he put it at a body bank in Shambhala, and then he used it for that occasion to come and bless us in Switzerland at that restaurant. And let me tell you, it was an amazing experience. The vibe was amazing. I know in my heart it was Saint Germain. Some people there, didn't really understand it fully, but it's okay in time and on time. But the message was delivered to work together. And based on that, I'm going with Michael to England and Dublin next month to continue this work with the masters.
And here I
Yeah,
want.
and again, I have access to the masters. Yeah.
You were cutting out here, but I think the message basically came over. And here I would like to mention, if our audience got now interested in all the teachings of Saint Germain and all this, what is his legacy, in the description of the video, there will be all the information that our audience can reach out to Hassan Ballout to know more about Saint Germain and his teaching. Dear Hassan, I thank you so much for this interesting hour and all what you shared with us. Thank you so much. We will have in the future as well some projects together. But for today, I say thank you and goodbye and take care. Thank you.
I stand upon the corner of the universe and hurl the cosmic energies upon it everywhere. I hold the planet Earth in my hand and hurl the violet flame upon it. I hold the planet Earth in my hand and I command the white fire to consume it. I command that light reign victorious over darkness. I command that truth reign triumphant over error. I direct the cosmic energies of perfection onto a planet now is becoming ready for them. I hurl the forces of peace and love throughout this planet. I command peace to be victorious over human activity of quarrel and war. I picture a great wave of peace, like a great wave of light flowing from an infinite ocean in streams and banners of light everywhere around the planet. I command this great light to flow into every nation, into every heart, into every destiny. I stand upon the corner of the universe and I hurl all the energies of my being to the task of peace. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with my life. I make peace with my friends. I make peace with my enemies. I make peace with my acquaintances. I make peace with all mankind, but never closing my eyes to that which is the flickering danger light, the warning of that which is not peace. I remain open only to a flow of peace, to be triumphant as it pours upon mankind. I hurl the violet flame victorious upon all nations, that their common destiny be discovered. I, a citizen of the universe, hurl the forces of triumphant victory upon mankind. I visualize mankind stepping beyond mankind, and at last the race of races, the blend of all nations, the amalgamation of all bloods and fathers into one victorious light that is the race of the masters. This, the cosmic command I direct through this focal point of concentration. I hurl the infinite light of love upon those who seek for love, knowing that love dissolves all error, love dissolves all darkness, love dissolves all evil. Evil being but ignorance manifest, we know that the greater reality is the motion of evolution and involution. I affirm this reality taking place everywhere, and at last my eyes are open to it. At last the great vision dawns upon me, each time in a new way, each moment as I see the cosmic plans unfolding in the lives of others. Knowing this cosmic plan victorious now fulfills itself in me, I, the point of eternal peace, explode 1,000 suns at once now upon the planet, raising it victorious over error and war. Peace is at last the ultimate victory. Peace for all brethren and sisters, all beings everywhere. You could say these affirmations 3 times, 7 times, or 33 times. It depends what kind of change and result you want to see. Also, you can visualize the colors as you are doing these affirmations. Thank you.